brought him out. Before I was even at the Arizona Community Foundation, my predecessors said, what can we do? They were looking at the data in Arizona, and the largest population is under 18, and the next largest population is over 50. And they said, what can we really do? These are two major demographics in our state. We're known to be a retirement community, the original home of the Sun Cities, or the segregated retirement home. And you know what? We're struggling. Our kids are struggling, our elders are struggling, and resources are scarce. What can we do with our funds to really get people thinking about how youth and elders can be assets to one another instead of competing together for scarce resources? Because we thought there was a lot of power in that kind of community building. And just technically, on a very practical level, those of you that know community foundations know that we have lots of donor funds, and then we have what are called field of interest funds that are maybe very specific to an interest area. So we have field of interest funds in youth development, rural development, and elder development, and elder support. And we said, how could we take all those silo funds, to use Phil's word, and pool them so that we really have a major investment and invest in community development? Because when we looked at Arizona communities, really, except for the segregated retirement community phenomenon, they're not, everybody lives there. And so how do they share a vision? It isn't just about youth only and elders only. It's about building a community together. So really, quite frankly, it was an experiment. It's easy for me to say it was successful now, but at the time, it took a great deal of vision. And Phil was one of the national speakers that we brought out. And we held community conversations in 3 different locations in Arizona, in Tucson, in Tempe, and then in Yavapai County. And we brought together a lot of youth organizations and service organizations that work with youth and elders and said, how does this sound? Does this make sense? I mean, we really went on a listening tour, and what we heard back was a resounding yes. We would love to be your partners in this program, and we would love to participate in this initiative. So through that, and I think I'll go, and I like the term a learning laboratory because really we have learned so much along the way. We did not have necessarily a blueprint for an initiative. It was really about community involvement. So as you can see, we began in 2003. We worked very closely with Temple University, who brought this concept, this framework for community development. It does not look at a specific population, but takes a geography and says, how can we mobilize those resources and those people to make that the best place there is to live? And they were very key in the framework. We were very key in the program funding, the marketing, the actual technical assistance to the sites that we put out an RFP and selected. Annie E. Casey is a national foundation that, as you know, is very focused on youth, improving outcomes for youth. And they liked this idea because they saw the growing number of grandparents raising grandkids. They knew that there were a lot of struggles and issues there, and they thought, you know, if we make an investment this way, we do believe that this will improve outcomes for youth, and we'd like you to be the lab for this, and we want to fund the evaluation so that we can then disseminate it to other foundations across the nation. And I'm very pleased to say that some exciting things have happened with that. Just also advisors, Phil actually was a part of the early part of the community gatherings, but Donna Butts from Generations United, she was just here last week, an amazing national talent. John Euler from Institute of Cultural Affairs, Amy Nagel and Associates. Some of you may know their work locally. And so I already talked to you a little bit about this and our silos and just examining how do we break out of the walls of Sun City and increase interest in civic engagement. And we did the forums, and then we did a planning year. And we, instead of listing the RFP of all the things we wanted, we basically said, here's some basic parameters, and you tell us what you want. What is your community's vision? So each of the sites did an assessment. We called it a community audit, which is a horrible term. But it really was sort of auditing what are the resources, what are some of our challenges, what are some of our opportunities, and what is our vision for moving forward. And the various sites, 6 sites were selected for multi-year funding of $50,000 each for 3 years. Now keep in mind, Arizona Community Foundation part of their overall Communities for All Ages budget. So we were leveraging funds from other sources. Some of them were governmental, some of them were resources that the sites were getting from other foundations or that they brought to bear. And here's the list of the sites, and you will hear from Tracy today, and also Eva is here. But you can see it covers quite a bit of Arizona, and they were very diverse sites. We had a whole county, Yavapai County, which is very large and had a lot of multiple players. And then we had Concho, which is an unincorporated community in northeastern Arizona. They have really no governmental resources to speak of. But they actually had a very active Communities for All Ages approach, but it played out very differently in all of these regions. I'm going to kind of skip past this because Tracy's going to talk to you directly about this. We like to talk about AHO because they're one of the ones featured in the video that we're going to show you at lunch today. So, and also Golden Gate Center, many of you co-invest. I know lots of other funders that work in Golden Gate. They actually were a very, very active site, and now are one of our leadership sites, helping us to guide the actual program strategies in the future going forward. So these are just some key issues that they addressed in their community. And some great assets. They merged with a large organization, Arizona's Children's Association, very strong nonprofit in Arizona. They were able to take the Communities for All Ages approach and not just start something from the ground up and integrate it into their existing programs. For example, they had Head Start programs, but they also had elder programs. And what they did was they integrated the elders into doing some reach out and read programs through their Head Start programs. So they were connecting those generations. That's just one simple example. They also had some of the teens come in and do technology classes with the seniors. And then through that, the teens said, we want to learn more about some of the traditional foods and some of the traditional recipes. So the elders created a cooking class where they shared some of that knowledge with the teens as well. So there was a reciprocity there. Just going to keep, I will come back to this, but I did want to say that the work that we did in both Golden Gate and Phoenix Revitalization, we were lucky enough to attract the attention of other foundations that were here, that were co-investing in those neighborhoods, and we decided that we would work together on a program called Neighbors United. It is coordinated by LISC, St. Luke's Health Initiative, the Lodestar Foundation, JP Morgan Chase, Valley of the Sun United Way, and Arizona Community Foundation now are co-investing in the Golden Gate Center site and the Phoenix Revitalization site. And when we all sat down together to say, what is it about the neighborhoods that we would like to co-invest in, some key things was a strong nonprofit hub, a key champion for change, a key community leader, a sense of civic activism, etc. And I was able to say, we've been working with these sites through Communities for All Ages on community development and civic engagement over the last 4 years. Could we look at co-investing in them? And so I'm very pleased to say, and I hope you have a chance later on to talk a little bit about this, that this program lives on and has attracted some other resources, which is really nice. I want to just acknowledge Maryville on the Move, St. Luke's Health Initiative. Jane Pearson's here. They received a grant from Robert Wood Johnson, and several of our Communities for All Ages sites were at a level of readiness that when they were selected to be a part of that program, we were able to integrate some of our programmatic support with that initiative as well. So it's very collaborative. We liked it so much, we decided to do it again. And this time we changed, we worked with our leadership sites and said, what would you do differently? And I'm looking at Eva because she always does tell us what she would do differently. And so they actually helped us sort of redesign or reframe our approach on this. They said, give us less money over more time and stagger the funds. And so that was very, very helpful. So there's some other ACS strategic initiatives that we've incorporated this kind of thinking into. Experience Matters. It's a collaborative fund that we started with the Piper Trust, and we were able to attract some money from the Atlantic Philanthropies. Latinos Unidos is one of our strategic we had an AmeriCorps Vista grant, and we're able to bring many of those to our communities for all ages sites. So we're in the new round. Here's just some brief bullets about that, and just one last exciting thing, and then I want to give Tracy a chance to talk, and then us to talk with each other, is the Kellogg Foundation. Temple University was a technical assistance provider helping us train the sites in thinking about communities for all ages and the physical infrastructures, the institutional civic infrastructures, and social infrastructures of a community for all ages. And they put a proposal to Kellogg Foundation, and they were funded then to start communities for all ages sites all across the nation, working with community foundations. And right now, help me, I'm thinking they have, what, about 20 sites now across the nation outside of Arizona, and we have 11 here in Arizona. So they've been looking to us very much as the leader, and we play a role in really working with those new sites as well. So that was just a phenomenal shift in thinking with communities for all ages outside of our state as well. And here's how you contact me, and I'm going to have to leave at lunch, but everybody here knows how to reach me, or to talk to Marissa, and she has my contact information as well.
Thank you, Jackie. So I'm Tracy Taft with the International Sonoran Desert Alliance, and we're sort of the case study in Navajo, for today anyway, of building a community for all ages. And I have to say that this initiative and the work we've done with the Arizona Community Foundation with their help has completely transformed how we work. It's not that we wouldn't have done many of the things that you're going to see that we've done, but we've done them completely differently. And I'm sorry, for us, it's people in place. You're going to see we're involved in real estate development and in community organizing. Aho is where that arrow points, way out there in the middle of nowhere. And this is what you see for at least 2 hours getting here to Aho. So I can't emphasize that enough. It makes all the difference. This is where our story starts. The red tile roof is the Curley School building, the Curley School campus. And before we got into this initiative, we had set our sights on, as a nonprofit, on purchasing these buildings, which were fast aiming for the wrecking ball. They were vacant. Let me say about Aho, you're looking at Aho's town center. We're a town of 3,500 people at this point. We were a little bigger 10 years ago. Our median age is 52, so it's really an important thing for this gathering. You know, I think in Phoenix or Tucson, the median age might be 36 or 7. So half the people in Aho are older than 52. Our poverty rate is at least 23%, living below the poverty line. Our unemployment rate is double Phoenix or Tucson. We were at 16% the last time I looked. Before you look at unemployment, you need to look at what the labor force is to begin with. And of people, working age people from 16 to 65, the traditional definition, only a quarter of those people have full-time jobs in Aho, or did 10 years ago. Probably fewer do now. Another quarter have, these are rough divisions, but another quarter have part-time jobs or multiple part-time jobs. So Phil and I were talking about this phenomenon that lots of people have lost their jobs and come home. So I'm going to race through these slides. These are just photographs. I wanted you to see what we, literally see what we had done, and I can answer more questions. Our strategy is arts-based community economic development and art-based community development. So we're trying to build community for all ages and all cultures. We were originally 3 segregated towns: Mexican Town, Indian Village, and the Aho Anglo town site. So we have done, everything we've done since we got involved in Communities for All Ages has been about bringing the generations together and the cultures. We began with this building, the Curley School. Our process was to begin with community, forgive the word, Phil, input. And we organized a large forum. I don't have a photo of it, but 400 people came and decided to go forward with the idea that we had for the Curly School, which was to convert it to live work space for artists and artisans. So we bought the buildings, we had the idea, the community had said go forward. We spent the next 3.5 years raising $9.6 million to do it. And in this time, what we did is we did community engagement. We animated the building. This is when we got involved with Communities for All Ages. We used to have workshops for kids and workshops for adults. And it's at one of the Communities for All Ages meeting, the light bulb went off. And from that point forward, we don't have workshops for either, we have workshops for everybody. There's no age limit. So this is some of what we were doing while we were raising the money. This is the old school. We were animating it. We were creating a sense of community ownership of the building. This is a mural, Native American mural that the whole town painted. And this, we had then raised the money. We had to move out of the building. We didn't raise any money for offices. So the community, 50 volunteers came together and renovated these buildings for us for offices. Then we were in construction. I'm skipping that phase. This is the result. This is a national award-winning project in historic preservation. It's a gorgeous building. That's a 4,500 square foot indoor-outdoor auditorium. The outside and the completed building. And the building lived in. That's a children's art project put together by the seniors in the building. That's how it's used by the community. We moved on to another building, an old cafeteria that is now an art gallery. This is a manual arts building that now hosts these workshops. That's actually after renovation. It has new steel columns. And this is how it's used. This is our current project. That's about to be a commercial kitchen. We're almost done. And now you're in the Curly School looking down one block at the Agua Town Plaza. This is a City Beautiful movement town. It's a planned community built in 1918. So that's the town plaza. That's the old depot you're looking at. This is from the depot looking back at the Curly School. What happened is we got the opportunity to buy this, and we did in 2008. And we did exactly the same process. So here we are with community input. That's where we began, 2008. Right, we really hashed out what people wanted to see in that plaza, because the town had abandoned the plaza. It was owned by unfriendly owners, and the town didn't congregate there anymore. So we did the input, then we had to pause and raise money, right? It took us another several years until this year actually to raise $2 million, $2.5 million so far. And so during that time we animated the plaza. We brought, these were vacant buildings, so the community is having a paint party to prepare for International Day of Peace. These are large parade puppets. This is a parade very much of all ages. This is drumming that we ran into one of your events, Jacky. We hired him immediately to bring everyone together, all three cultures. So we have people from Mexico and from the Tanata Nation here for this festival every year. This is Plum Chen from Tucson. And so we're using the arts to bring the community together. They're now back in the plaza. It's full of life. And this year we started the renovation in 2011. So this is what's going on now. There'll be new storefronts in about 3 more months. We had an extraordinary volunteer project. The Mormon stake from Maricopa County chose Ajo as its day of service in project in November. And so we had a complete reseeding and a painting. This is the paint group. I was part of that. And this is the group digging up trees and planting new trees. You can see it's very much a mixed age group. That characteristics and abilities. So, you know, I just really invite you to come on down and see what we're doing. And I think you'll see that it was a simple insight that we came to as part of this Communities for All Ages process, that there was just, you know, we knew we needed to bring the cultures together. We just hadn't thought about the generations really being together. So as a result, you know, our buildings are all accessible. You know, every one of the 30 apartments is visitable. They're all convertible to full, you know, handicap access. Elevators, we have the first elevator in Aho, and we have 2 more in the plaza, making the 2nd floor accessible. You know, we're doing it changed what we were doing physically. You know, it made us grow that commitment to enabling all the generations to be together, and it just dramatically changed the focus of our program, so that this whole process of animation was, you know, completely multi-generational, which we thank you. The foundation also helped us immensely in different aspects. So this is really comprehensive community development. I'm happy to say we also work with, and then, you know, we got into this because the owner of the transportation company in Aho went to those original meetings and came back and said, you know, Aho has to be part of this, and she then became our board president. You know, most of the key institutions in town sit on our board because we're such a little place. We've been learning more from Evan about collaboration, but we'll let you tell that story.
Can I just make a closing remark? Just building on what Tracy said about the aha moment, about what they were already doing and just infusing this way of thinking into it. That's what happened with us as a funder. We started out with this initiative, but then we started looking at all of our initiatives, our affordable housing initiative, our education initiatives, and we said, how does this concept play out through everything we do? So it isn't just our programs aren't siloed as well. So I think we learned also from them and that kind of strategy and how to change our way of doing work, but it was more of a tilt or a pivot as opposed to a complete change.
To answer that rhetorical question we just asked, how have you made shifts in your other funding areas to incorporate that concept?
Well, for instance, in our affordable housing program, instead of just really looking at specific populations, we have jump-started a few housing programs that really are focused on grandparents raising grandkids and providing support services with those. So that wouldn't have been a goal in our affordable housing program. We were really looking at median income, but now that becomes a critical success factor for us when reviewing those grants. This is one quick